Hi everyone, welcome to Uniquely Mia's Criminal Justice 101 Perspective and Policies class. I hope you're excited. This is our first content module. The words are often used interchangeably in media. Anytime I watch a movie or watch a television show, people are using jail and prisons the incorrect way. So watch this video and that won't be you anymore. So jails. Jails is less than 1 year. So if somebody's arrested and they're like, I'm confined for a day, you're in jail. I'm sentenced to jail for 6 months, you're in jail. If somebody says, I'm in jail for 2 years, wait, you are in prison. So jail is for short-term confinement. So jails is for short-term detention and people who are awaiting trial or sentencing or who have committed a minor crime. For a misdemeanor that gets a sentence of 6 months, 8 months, they may be sent to a jail. Jails are often operated by local governments such as the sheriff's office or the police department, and jails tend to have fewer security measures compared to prison. So prisons are long-term confinement. This is anywhere from 1 year to 20 years, 30 years, 10 years, 5 years. You are in prison. Anything longer than a year, you're in prison, guys. And as we said, this is long-term incarceration. This is for individuals who are convicted and sentenced for serious offenses, guys, whether that is a felony offense, a white-collar offense. As long as it's longer than a year and it's serious, you are in prison. And prisons are typically ran by state or federal authorities. There are federal prisons and state prisons, and they can also be ran by private companies via public-private partnership or the privatization of prisons. And this is where private companies, private individuals build these prisons using government money, and or these private organizations may run the prison. It just depends on the circumstances. And within private prisons, security measures can vary greatly based on the facility, the range to very low offenders, or whether you are incapacitating a very high offender who committed a heinous crime such as murder, guys. So when we're looking at the statistics in modern society, in the United States has about 4% of the world's population. However, 16% of individuals incarcerated in the world resides in the United States. How does that make sense to you? This is because in modern society, America, we have a tendency of focusing more on the punishment side of prison. So there are 3 goals to imprisonment. We have rehabilitation, retribution/revenge. We want to provide retribution/revenge for the victim. We want to provide rehabilitation to the offender, just deterrence, also known as general deterrence and specific deterrence. So this general deterrence is saying, you guys in modern society, from watching this video that Uniquely Mia is creating for you, or from maybe just being aware of the laws. Like, if you commit a crime, you can either, depending on the type of crime, you can either go to prison, jail, or get a fine. You knowing that law, that's your general deterrence. You don't want to experience that, so you're not going to commit a crime. Specific deterrence is saying you as an individual in society, you commit a crime and then you are sent to prison, or you are sent to jail, or you receive a fine. You know what it's like to be incarcerated now. So you went through that specific deterrence. You don't want to go back into that environment and be isolated from your friends, from your family members. So from that experience, you acquired specific deterrence. According to an academic journal article titled "The Explanations of American Punishment, Politics, A National History," posted by Tony, in the 1970s, it was found that there were no major trends in crimes. However, imprisonment rose after 2 world wars, and then it decreased. After World War II, the United States wanted to focus more on that punishment aspect rather than that rehabilitation aspect of imprisonment, guys. So therefore, the imprisonment rate in the United States between 1973 and 1970s, it substantially grew. The United States has the world's highest prison rate, and it's the only place with the death penalty, and that gives individuals the harshest punishments. According to the Federal Bureau of Prisons, there are 6 different types of prisons that exist in the United States. We're going to start with minimum security prisons. And these minimum security institutions, they're also known as federal prison camps. And these prisons are very laid back, you can say. They have dormitory housing. They don't have a lot of staff, and they have a low staff to inmate ratio, and there's no limited or perimeter fencing at these prisons. This is what an image of it looks like. And these institutions are generally work and program oriented. So that essentially means inmates are most likely working. They can attend various programs. People in these prisons probably committed misdemeanor, very low level crimes. However, they probably were in prison because it was repeat offenses. Next, we're going to move on to low security prisons. And these low security federal correctional institutions, known as FCIs, have double fence perimeters, and they are mostly dormitory or cubic housing style. And there's also strong work and program components within these prisons that are available for offenders to participate in. There's also a low staff to inmate ratio, similar as minimum security prisons. However, there's a little bit more staff members here in these prisons. Moving on to medium security prisons. So medium security prisons, these prisons have strengthened perimeters. Often they may have double fence, or they may even have like electric fences to keep inmates in. And these are where we start getting into those movie type cells that we see. So the metal gates, the cells are here within these prisons, but there's also more staff to inmate ratio within these prisons. And there's a greater focus on internal control. So within these low and medium prisons, perhaps inmates are allowed to wander by themselves a little bit. In these medium security prisons, this is where things start to get more tight. Inmates can't do whatever they want to do. They're watched, but not as much as high security prisons. So within high security prisons or high security institutions, high secured perimeters, so this is where fencing and walls with reinforced fence become more popular, as you can see from the image. And these have multiple single occupant cells for housing for offenders. And this is the highest staff to inmate ratio. And we're focused on the close control of inmate movements. As you can see, I didn't really mention that they have a lot of rehabilitative services here, because they most likely don't. We're more focused on confining the inmates. So inmates are no longer staying in double occupancy cells. So these individuals probably committed arson, or they could have committed a crime such as murder. Perhaps within high security prisons, we could have like those white collar crime individuals in here, just depending on the type of white collar crime and the seriousness of it. They could be in these high security prisons as well. In these complex prisons, they have a variety of different prisons. So you may find a low type security prisons here, medium, high security prisons here. So these prisons are, think about these complex prisons. If somebody wants to complete an internship at a prison, they're going to most likely send them to these complex prisons, because they're really able to get like the full cake, you can say, all the experience in this one area, except opposed from like jumping from different prisons facilities to another one. And then we get to the administrative facilities, and these are institutions. They have special missions. So one mission could be the detention of pretrial offenders. So these essentially mean offenders who have yet to be on trial. If they didn't qualify for bail, or if the judge didn't give them bail, they would be held in these administrative prisons. While we're on the topic of bail, it's important to note that when a judge determines bail for an offender, they look at certain characteristics. First, they look at the type of crime the offender committed. If the offender committed a heinous crime, 9 times out of 10, the judge will either set the bail at a really high price, so the offender can't afford it, or the judge may deny bail. The judge also looks at the danger the offender would pose to the community. When I say this, I mean the judge looks at the offender, the type of crime they committed, and say, okay, did you commit a crime, or would the people in that community be comfortable with you returning back to that community? And the third criteria that the judge looks at, the flight risk. If the individual has a lot of money, they have access to a private jet and they're a flight risk, the judge may either deny bail or give that person bail on the condition that they give up their passport. The judge is also likely to look at the offender's past criminal record. If the offender has a history of a consistent criminal record, the judge may decide to either give them a really high price at bail so they can't afford it, or they may deny bail altogether. In addition to this, the judge is going to ask the offender or look at the offender and make their own assumption. Is the individual likely to return to court? And ultimately, this is the purpose of bail. This is why bail exists, guys, because the judge wants you to return. And how do you return? By money. How do individuals pay for bail? People pay for bail either by, one, having the amount of cash. If you're really rich, you could put that cash down and just pay it and get out soon. Or if you're low income or middle class and your family owns a property and you're close with your family, that offender can be like, hey, can you put your property up as bond, something known as a property bond? Or they can go through a bonds person, and when individuals go through this bond person, that bond person essentially lends them money to say, okay, I'm gonna pay, but when you get out, you have to pay me back. So more of the story for bail favors rich individuals. Bail does not favor low income individuals. Perhaps the offender needs to get treatment for a serious medical or chronic illness. They'll be in these administrative prisons. Or maybe we're confining somebody who's very dangerous or very violent. They're going to be in these administrative prisons. Perhaps somebody tried to escape from prison, guys. So they're going to be in these administrative prisons. So that was an overview of the difference between jails and prisons. We went through like a very brief history of jails and prisons. And then I discussed the different type of prisons that exist in the United States. So it should be noted that depending on the type of crime that somebody commits, the rules can change. The more of the story is, don't commit crimes. This video is just to educate you. So hopefully you enjoyed this video. My question of the day for your first discussion board assignment: what did you think about the various type of prisons? Did you know that there was a difference between jails and prisons? Did you know that about 6 different type of prisons exist within the United States criminal justice system? And if you are a new student tuning in, make sure to secure your seat by following along, leaving a comment, and saving the video. Have a great day, guys, and I'll see you soon. Bye, guys.